What do you think are the most important aspects of the life of the urban poor that outsiders don't know about?
Yeah, well, outsiders, I think, have a general idea that joblessness is rather high, and they're certainly aware that crime is sometimes quite rampant because they see it on nightly news, they see it and read it in newspapers. But I don't think, Ed, that they are really aware of or appreciate the impact of crime and joblessness on the residents in these neighborhoods. My book, When Work Disappears, really spells this out and talks about the relationship between joblessness and crime and its effect and their effect on residents. And one of the main arguments of that book is that a neighborhood in which people are poor and working is significantly different from a neighborhood in which people are poor and jobless. Joblessness triggers other problems in the neighborhood, including crime and also, violent crime. And violent crime, can be quite high in some of these neighborhoods, despite the fact that there's been a downward trend of violent crime. You still have high levels of violent crime in these cities. For example, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where 46% of African Americans live in high poverty neighborhoods, the neighborhoods with poverty rates of at least 40%. A black person is 18 times more likely to be a victim of violence and 8 times more likely to be killed or murdered. And so these families, they experience the trauma of seeing a loved one killed. But when you live in such neighborhoods, you also suffer from anxiety and stress and depression. Some are worried about their children and how they're going to fare in such neighborhoods and what effect it's going to have on their development. Also, I don't think that people are fully aware or appreciate the adverse effects of living in such neighborhoods on health. Obesity is relatively high in a lot of these inner city neighborhoods. And I remember a conversation I had with a person who doesn't live in these neighborhoods, and they asked me about obesity, and they said, well, why don't they do something about their diet? Why don't they exercise? And I had to point out to him that in many of these neighborhoods, there are no large grocery stores, fresh fruits and vegetables. There are a lot of these mom and pop stores,
Sure.
And emphasis, loaded with canned goods, which not very healthy. I remember a conversation I had with one of the mothers in Chicago, and she says, my doctor says I'm overweight, I should get out and jog. She says, Mr. Wilson, where am I going to jog in this neighborhood? So I'm afraid to step outside, So I just don't think that people are aware of the challenges that a lot of these families face.
So you pointed one thing which I just want to highlight, because one of the things that crime does is it kills the common use of public space.
Yes.
It means that you can't walk around safely, you can't do all these things which in a safe part of the city we take for granted.
Right.
But all of that recedes inward, and you're behind locked doors.
And you have a lot of the families who are very, very careful about controlling their children's behavior by not allowing them to play outside. And I remember some of the research we were doing in Chicago, and some of the families would take their children across town to other neighborhoods, to other recreational facilities and churches, because they didn't want them to interact in their own immediate neighborhoods.